Darren Rees. It's time for another episode on yet another very special player. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a player who's just 22 years old as I record this today, but has already made a name for himself as one of the best up-and-coming players not only in Spain, but in the entire world. Of course, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the one and only Spanish sensation, Nico Williams. Before we do that, let's do a couple of your Apple Podcast reviews. The first one says best pod ever, and that is from LH080, 5 stars. Hi Darren, I'm Joseph and I love your pod. It's the best. I support Manchester City. So, please can you do an episode on Yaya Toure? Also, can you please shout out to my mum Lindsay and my dad Rob? Yaya, 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 Yaya Toure, Yaya. Sorry, I was getting a bit carried away there. Well, we do need to do an episode on Yaya Toure. What a player Toure was. And a huge shout out to you, Joseph, to your mum Lindsay and to your dad Rob. Yeah. Alright, I'll stop now. The next one is a 5-star review which says this is the best podcast ever, and that is from Amelia. Thank you so much. It says, I've been listening to this podcast for ages and ages and it's truly amazing. It's the best podcast I've ever listened to, and I've listened to a lot. Please give me a shout out from Amelia. Well, Amelia, a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for your kind words. It is very kind of you, and I'm always so pleased and chuffed to hear how much you lot are enjoying the podcast and how much you're learning and how much you're being inspired and all that other good stuff. Yeah. Alright, I'll stop. Okay, the last one is a 5-star review from Newcastle Rules. 5 stars, awesome. Recommended for football lovers, and I'm a Newcastle United fan. Way man. Can you please do an episode on Jacob Murphy? Well, Newcastle Rules, a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for giving the podcast 5 stars. I really hope you enjoy this episode, and don't you worry, your request has gone on to my very long list of episodes I need to write, including Yeah, Toure. Right then, now that's over and done with, let's get on to this episode, shall we? Let's dive into the journey, the life and the story of the sensation in Spain, who goes by the name of Nico Williams. Nico Williams was born on the 12th of July 2002 in Pamplona, Spain. Nico was born to his mum Maria and his dad Felix, who are both originally from Ghana, which, if you didn't know, is a country in West Africa. The journey of Nico Williams started, well before he was born, as his mum and dad fled Ghana, where they lived in a country where it was full of danger, full of risk, and there wasn't really much money to be earned. His mum and his dad wanted to have a family, but they wanted a brighter and more positive future for themselves and for their future children. They had some savings and they paid a group of people who illegally helped people escape the country to another country for a payment. This happens all the time. Nico Williams' parents paid these people, who are called traffickers, all the money which they had. They took everything in the promise that they would get them from Ghana to the UK, where they would be able to bring up a family and get jobs where they could support themselves and the children that they would bring into the world. However, the illegal group of people who had taken all of their money to get them to the UK left them stranded halfway. They left them stranded on the edge of the Sahara Desert. They had no money, barely any water, no food, and little did they know, Nico's mum was pregnant with Iñaki, who is Nico's brother. His mum and dad had to trek across the Sahara Desert, the hottest and the most dangerous desert on earth. Eventually, and thankfully, due to meeting good people along the way with good hearts, Nico's mum and dad would find themselves in Spain, where they would attempt to make a life far better than the one which they had in Ghana. On the 15th of June 1994, Maria, Nico's mum, would give birth to Iñaki Williams, a player you may well have heard of, who also plays for Athletic Bilbao. He is a big part of this story. Although life was considerably better for the family in Spain, there still wasn't the work they wanted to be able to create a better life for themselves. So, Nico and Iñaki's dad went off to London to work, where he would send money back to his family in Spain. He didn't just do this for a few weeks or a few months, he did this for nearly 10 years. Nico, Iñaki and their mum only really saw him once a year for a whole decade. But they said it's what needed to happen to be able to earn the money to live and pay their bills. It was the only way to make things better in their eyes. Iñaki, Nico's older brother, took on the father figure role for Nico. He would get up early in the mornings to prepare Nico's lunch for him for school. He would take him to football practice. He would even step in to referee the games, and he would earn a few quid in the process. He would do everything and anything he could to make life smoother for his mum, who was working wherever and whenever she could to ensure that there was food on the table and the bills were paid. They were a proper family who worked together. Where the brothers grew up in Spain, there was a huge culture of playing football on the streets. Nico would watch his brother playing with all the other kids who were older than him, and he would eventually start to join in. At around 10 or 11 years old, Nico Williams had been spotted by Athletic Bilbao and was invited along to do some training at their academy. One of the coaches at Athletic Bilbao said that when he first saw Nico, the big thing that really stood out for him was how confident he was playing with players so much older than him. He never shied away from a tackle. He wasn't worried about them being bigger or stronger or older. He just got stuck in and treated them all the same. Their age didn't matter. They were just another player, and he had a job to do. The confidence which he had was probably built from all of those years playing football on the streets with his brother and all the other Spanish kids. Because practice makes permanent. I don't think anyone is perfect, but you will permanently get better if you permanently practice. Nico Williams was fearless. He was relentless in his work ethic, but he was also an amazing listener. The coaches at Athletic Bilbao at the youth academy said he was one of the few players who they could tell was listening, because whatever they told him, he would immediately put it into action, and they appreciated and understood that that was a fine skill in itself. Because of all this, Nico Williams naturally made his way through the levels and the tiers at Athletic Bilbao's academy, getting better and better as the seasons went by. Nico had so much appreciation, respect and love for his brother Iñaki. He knows how much he's done for him over the years, and the two are so incredibly close. Nico and Iñaki, since they were kids playing football together on the streets, have always said that they dreamed about being in a top team together in front of thousands. Well, with the work they were both putting in, it was always going to happen. And it happened on the 28th of April 2021 when Nico Williams made his professional debut for Athletic Bilbao in the senior team. Nico and Iñaki Williams were the first brothers to play together in the first team at Bilbao for 35 years. A magical moment for them and their family. And yet another reminder on why to dream big, because your hard work will make things happen. After this, it didn't take long for Nico Williams to be doing some really wonderful things in the first team. He scored some screamers in major competitions like the Copa del Rey and in La Liga, making himself a starting 11 player much more often than he wasn't. That season, Nico would make the Spanish headlines for scoring the winning goal in the Spanish Super Cup semi-final against Atletico Madrid. He was front page news and on TV news headlines, and this very young talent was being spoken about like royalty among the top people in Spanish football. Spain had a genuine superstar in the making on their hands. Athletic Bilbao hadn't won the Copa del Rey, a super important trophy in Spain, in 40 years. That is a really, really long time. But then, in the 23-24 season, something amazing happened. Bilbao made it all the way to the final, facing off against Mallorca. It was a nail-biter. After the game ended at 1-1, it went to a penalty shootout, and Athletic Bilbao came out on top, winning 4-2 on penalties. Who was at the centre of it all? You guessed it, Nico Williams. He played a massive role in that game, zipping down the wing, making defenders look silly and creating big chances. He was so good that they named him man of the match. After the game, Nico got to lift that trophy alongside the captain in front of thousands of fans who were going wild in the stands. Nico said, "We've made history. I did it for my family and the fans. This is our moment." This win would have meant a ton to the team and the fans. After years of coming close but just missing out, they finally got their hands on a big prize. Nico became their hero. He was the guy who helped a 40-year wait be brought to an end. What a player he is. Nico Williams isn't just one of the most prolific wingers in Spanish football and making a real difference, but he's doing it alongside his brother. He's also representing Spain, the country which took him in and showed him warmth and a welcome attitude. And at just 22 years old, I think it's fair to say he should have many more top-level years of playing football. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitchside, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.